Noah, thank you for standing your ground and not backing down. Thank you for your dedication, passion, and many contributions to our industry during your time as chairman. I know you will continue to share your professional talents and knowledge as ICBA's immediate past chairman. Well, just as we've done a bit in the past, we have an opportunity today to reflect a bit on your journey this year. But before we get started, just as we've done in years past, let's start with some rapid fire questions for our chairman, all right?
Let's do it. I'm set.
Okay, ready? Beatles or Rolling Stones?
The Beatles.
Haha. Cheeseburger or pizza?
Pizza.
Climb a mountain or skydive?
Climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I'll get specific.
I love the specificity there. Definitely. Over skydiving, I'm right there with you. Favorite charitable cause?
Well, Julie and I have a lot of favorite charitable causes, but if I had to put one at the top, definitely be the arts.
Definitely. Noah, we really are so grateful for your service this year. And obviously, this year has been unprecedented for us and just about everyone across the globe.
Yeah, just another year in community banking, right? It's really been something. I coined a phrase early on. It's nothing new. It's what we do. I mean, community bankers show up and deliver, and that's in our DNA. I certainly could not have imagined my year as chairman of ICBA turning out this way. I couldn't have scripted it if I had tried, but nonetheless, I think it's just, I can't underscore enough what an honor it has been to serve as ICBA's chairman. In fact, I've been teasing Pres Kennedy all year that, when he passed the gavel to me, the floor just fell out. And I mean, it literally, that closing day of the convention. So, but it's, and I've been asked about that by a lot of people, but what I've said is when you step into a leadership role, you take the helm prepared to address whatever's at hand. And I think that's what leaders do. And that's what we've done this year.
God, so true. And it's what I've really appreciated about your leadership this year. And there's been so many challenges. What stands out to you the most?
Well, I'm an eternal optimist, and if you didn't know it before working with me as your chairman, you know it now. And I think the thing that stands out is that community bankers just rolled up their sleeves and got to work. I mean, it was business as usual. Even loading PPP into this situation, they just took it in stride. Nights, weekends, missed birthdays, missed anniversaries, all those things, and didn't complain about it. I mean, they're doing what's right for their communities, their customers. And I think that's what stands out to me, is that we always rise to the occasion. We always meet the needs of our communities, our staff, our customers. And, it just goes to who community banks are in their heart. I mean, it's part of our DNA. And whether it's coronavirus or something else, we just roll up our sleeves and get the job done.
Wow. So true. I love that statement. Community banking is who we are. It's what we are. It's in our DNA. I'd love you to share a little bit more about that.
Well, I don't think community banking is just a career. I mean, it really is a way of life. I mean, it's a litmus test, and it's about taking care of each other. It's about lifting each other up when the chips are down and celebrating successes when we hit it out of the park, and always being conscious of each other and our teammates at work, our teammates in the community at large, everybody that we serve. And, I think one of the most gratifying things about this year for me is, as chairman, I've been able to witness that across the country, in suburban areas, in urban areas, in rural areas, all across the country, coast to coast. And to be able to see that sort of underlying fabric of our nation is just outstanding. And when you have an opportunity to make a positive contribution, we seize that and look ahead to really help and just move us forward. And I think this pandemic underscores that. I mean, we got to work trying to help save jobs, help save businesses, and really move our communities forward in a successful way. And I think, we'll all be stronger for it.
So true. You had an opportunity to go on national television and talk just about that role of community banking and what you were seeing happening across the country. Tell us a little bit. What was it like? Were you nervous? How'd it go?
Well, I wasn't nervous. Whether I'm talking to the President of the United States or a customer in my lobby, it's another person, and I think you treat them like anything else. That being said, it was a true honor to be able to address the President of the United States directly. And I had a job to do as chairman, and that was, if you remember, at the time that I did that interview or had that meeting, we had about a third of the banks in the country that could not access SBA's e-trans system. And that's the message that I went armed to talk to President Trump about, was even one bank that doesn't have access to it is one too many. And can you imagine what we could actually be doing if 100% of the banks had access to the system? I don't think he appreciated that message in what was an otherwise pretty flowery meeting. But the message was delivered, and I had a job to do, like I said, and I got the message across, and we got things resolved. I mean, can you imagine where we would have been without ICBA in the early days of PPP? I mean, with all the glitches and the trouble we had, ICBA was the real mover. I mean, we were the ones that got it fixed. We were communicating constantly, getting things changed so it worked better for our customers. I mean, without ICBA in Washington all day while we're back home on Main Street making PPP loans, it would have been a disaster.
So true. I mean, I look back to those times and we advocated for specific allocated funding to make sure community bank needs were met, and we got it. And then we got a distinct processing time in window in order to deploy those funds, and the numbers speak for themselves. Again, heroic efforts on so many, on everybody's parts. It really is so amazing. And I'm glad we can sort of reflect back on those times now. Tell us, Noah, from your perspective, as we think about advocacy and all that we've done, what else can Team ICBA do to move the needle as we move forward?
Sure. Well, those things you just mentioned, that's called winning. And we did it big
Yes,
time, and
exactly.
We're going to keep doing it. But to your question, I mean, ICBA has a really significant role to play for the community banking industry. I mean, we've seen community banks come together and use their collective voice, their collective power to get needed changes made. But while we're back running our businesses and taking care of our communities and taking care of our customers, we need ICBA to be advocating for us at the regulatory agencies, with Congress, with the administration, Treasury, SBA, and so on, while we're doing that. But that being said, we also need every banker, and I'm talking to every banker that's listening right now, to not let anybody else carry your water. We need your voice to be heard. The more voices we have for advocacy, and we've got great resources, as I said earlier today, to help you do that, we amplify that voice and we get more stuff done. So I think those are a couple of the big things. We've got just such a collective power to move the needle when we want to, and we can come together and make our voice heard. And ICBA helps us come together in that way and unify that message.
Yeah, to unify, to amplify, to echo in every part of this country why it is so important. And we've shown time and time again, as we reflect back on the last year, I also think, obviously it's not been just PPP. We've continued our battle with the credit unions, and they certainly have not wasted any time as they continue to acquire community banks, or the NCUA continues to give them, the most favorable rules in which to operate that really just benefit the largest credit unions. And I firmly believe that that's why our job is so important, is to push back on that and keep fighting.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
No, we get so excited about these issues. It's like, we want to tackle. So hopefully everybody else out there is getting just as excited. I mean, I know you've been involved for a long time, and you've been a tremendous community bank advocate. Somebody may be sitting there listening to us today to say, where do I get started? What inspired you, and how does somebody get started on this path of being a community bank advocate?
Well, great question. If you would have asked me at the beginning of my career if I thought advocacy was going to be a part of my job, I would have said no. I would have probably laughed, and I mean, I had never given it a thought. But it wasn't very long after starting this career that I realized how critical it was. And, and that it's my personal responsibility as a community banker to make my voice heard on issues that are either threatening our industry or on issues that can help enhance our industry. So, I have been very involved at both the local, state, and national levels, and everybody needs to do that. You can't expect that the bank across the street is going to make their voice heard on your behalf. You need to do it for yourself, and the more we do that, the better off we are. I mean, I'd love to have ICBA as our head regulator. I mean, that's effectively what the NCUA is. I mean, it's this whole thing. I mean, advocacy takes patience and persistence and perseverance. It takes time, and you can't get tired of delivering the message. I think that's something that I want everybody, especially the first-time attendees, to understand, is that some of these legislative wins take a decade or more. I mean, take the credit union issue that you just raised. I mean, that's multi-decades in the making, and this wake-up campaign that we have now is so much more robust than complaining to lawmakers about the tax exemption. It's about some of this egregious overreach and operating outside of their mandate and all these other things that are happening. It's an education process for those that can affect change from a legislative way. And we're doing it. And we will win that war too. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take us to get it done.
But we will not stop fighting. And it's about being creative. It's about engaging. And to your point, how we continue to tell that story. I think the other thing that is really important as we talk about advocacy is again, the statement we say a lot, but it's about the politics of community banking. It's about what we need as an industry and how we help carry and move our industry forward. That is our North Star in all of this.
It's so true. And, you have to be able to work across the aisle. I just look back at just even this last year, how much we were able to get done in one of the most bitterly divided Congresses ever. Yeah. And the great news for us is the politics of community banking are bipartisan, so we can actually get something done when nobody else can, and we need to use that to our advantage. So I just you got to reach across the aisle.
Definitely. So Noah, I know this wasn't the year you were expecting. What are some of the highlights of the year that you didn't see coming, and what do you miss the most?
Well, I'll address those in reversed order. Hands down, I miss travel the most. Both professional travel for the association as well as personal travel. Julie and I really do enjoy getting around to the states that we've had the opportunity to visit and generally spend the entire convention, reconnecting with people we know and meeting new bankers all the time. I just enjoy that so much, and I really have missed that aspect of things. But, you adapt, and we've done as well as we can virtually to do that. But I'm looking forward to getting back out on the road. I think there were a number of highlights, and some of those are our legislative wins. The way we carried the day on PPP will be a highlight of my year as chairmanship. And I think this crisis is a different one than past crises where people have short memories. This drew a bright line that community banks saved the economy of the United States. They saved hundreds of thousands of businesses and probably millions of jobs across the country. And for that, I'm both grateful for all of our community bankers, and I'm exceptionally proud of that. And if America didn't know that we were the cornerstone of the economy, they sure as heck do now. So I think, those things are what really stand out to me.
Yeah, boy, I cannot wait to get back out there with folks. And what a time for us here, even in this virtual world, to just pause for a minute, to reflect, to celebrate, to think about how we can continue to adapt to this change, innovate, and move forward. Well, this past year will certainly be one for the history books. And I know one positive through all of it was the continued support of the people around us, our communities, staff, and families. On behalf of ICBA, we can't thank you enough. Thank Julie and your family for all that you have done. Thank you for being a partner through it all. At this time, I'd like to turn the virtual stage over to you for a few remarks.
Thanks, Rebecca. Well, first, I'd like to thank both of my teams at Grand Rapids State Bank and Minnesota Lakes Bank. I don't have enough time here today to recount the endless examples of your tireless work, not just with PPP, record-setting mortgage activity, and the rest of it, along with Julie and I being occupied with our year as chair with ICBA. Thank you. I want to thank Carol, my trusted and longtime admin and friend, who has worked with 4 generations of my family. She keeps the trains running on time in my world. I want to thank Heather, my logistics coordinator and house checker. I don't know how Julie and I would have been able to seamlessly crisscross the country all these years without your help. And to Sam, my newest admin and helper, learning the ropes from Carol and Heather, thanks for staying on top of all of this. I want to thank the members of both the GRSB and the MNLB Board of Directors for your unwavering support as I took on this important national role. Your friendship and your support means the world to me. Thank you. To my mother, Kathy, for working hard to raise a principled and hardworking person. To my father, Steve, and his wife, Vicki, for always encouraging me and pushing me to be the best version of myself. Oh, and the 5 Ps. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Don't forget that. To the many friends and other family members who have been so supportive, not just for the length of my career, but for this past year. Thank you to Mackenzie, Taylor, and Abby, 3 of the most wonderful daughters anyone could ask for. You guys are the best. And lastly, thank you to Julie, my wife, for embarking on this journey right by my side every single step of the way. She has been the steady hand in rough waters. She's been the patience in a sometimes stressful world, and the sounding board that has allowed me to stay true to my guiding principles and mission to serve ICBA and the industry in the best way that I can. For all of you, thank you. This has been a career highlight for me, a true humbling honor, and I will never forget serving as the 90th chairman of ICBA, an association founded in my home state of Minnesota.